I want to show you this wide picture, then we'll zoom in on us and show you what's going on. At midnight, this storm is developing right on into here, and basically it's bombing. In other words, it's really seeing a very, very rapid drop in central air pressure. So it'll be really pretty close to what a hurricane would be, and there'll likely be hurricane force winds out of the east side of it. We'll end up with 45, 50 mile an hour wind gusts coming up by 4 o'clock in the morning, close to the shoreline. In blue, you can see all the snow underneath these wind streamlines. You can see obviously where the center of the storm is located, right about into here. That's 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll take it from there to 7 o'clock in the morning. Still snowing very solidly throughout the area, but it'll start to let up, lighten up a little bit thereafter. That's where the storm is at 7 o'clock in the morning. We move from there and move on up the coastline to 2:30 in the afternoon, where we're seeing this storm south-southeast of Cape Cod. It's going to pass to the east of Cape Cod and on up toward Maine, but it'll really sock them. Look at that wind out of the north-northeast there. They're likely to see some significant tidal flooding in addition to the snow. We're not likely to see much in terms of tidal flooding. There could be some nuisance tidal flooding coming up tomorrow morning at 10:45 at Sewell's Point. So again, the storm is still developing, but really developing very, very rapidly. It's centered, again, south-southeast of Cape Hatteras, and it's likely to bomb. In other words, really drop its central pressure off the east coast. And there it is, kind of the center of the storm, the western edge of the eye wall, if it were a hurricane with this storm. You saw snow just blossom, and we're seeing, again, lots of snow into the area. Here's what's going on at the midnight hour, and this is really, really quite accurate, because as of 11:30 or 11:35, 11:40 when I'm taping this, it's just starting to change over to all snow now across the ocean front in Virginia Beach, and it has been all snow for quite some time, since about 8 o'clock, really, anywhere inland. And Elizabeth City has taken a little bit of time for it to change over to snow, but by 2 o'clock it will. There's where things are. 2 o'clock, still raining for most of the Outer Banks, though, by that point. There's where things are at 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's got snow. 37-mile-an-hour winds, and winds will be gusting pretty close to 45, 50 miles an hour at that point at the ocean front. So we've got blizzard warnings in effect, basically from Chesapeake and Pasquotank County eastward and on up to Hampton and Poquoson, Matthews County, and the entire eastern shore. Blizzard warnings because of the fact that there's so much wind with that snow that will create whiteout conditions. Very, very difficult to see, to drive coming up overnight. Those are things on by 6 o'clock in the morning. Still strong winds, still some fairly hefty snow. But I think thereafter, some of these darker blue colors will start moving on out after 8 o'clock. Those were things on by 10 o'clock in the morning, starting to lighten up, still windy. Those were things on by the noon hour, still a bit windy, but the snow is coming to an end, and we're just going to be snow covered. So temperature's going to stay on the cold side. Snow will be blowing around, and again, really, really kind of a nasty night and day coming up for tomorrow. Now, it'll stay cold, really cold overnight into Friday morning. These numbers are too warm inland areas. I think near the coastline it'll be 12, 14, but inland areas, I think, solidly into single digits because of the snow cover. Snow cover tends to make the nights very, very much colder. I think we'll see that, and it makes the days colder as well, because it reflects away what sunlight there is, the sunlight that there is, and keeps it from heating up the earth coming up. So that's why that snow cover, again, is going to keep things a lot cooler. Here's a forecast model called the GFS. This is probably closest in terms of thinking to what everybody is thinking in terms of what's going on with this storm system and snowfall amounts. 5.83, 6.6, 6.67, almost 8 in some areas, but I tend to think the heavier amounts are going to be really from the north end of the north end of the south side on up into Isle of Wight, Smithfield area, and points northward. And the reason for all of this is, and there's really been some fudging around on all of these forecast numbers in terms of snow totals. We're going to get blown out as far as snow. High confidence in that. Lower confidence in snowfall amounts and exactly where it's going to happen because of the fact that the storm is a lot stronger than anyone expected and a lot stronger than the models have expected. So the models are, say, 5, 6 inches of snow for most of the area. That's alive. However, the storm is much stronger, so we got to anticipate again a little bit heavier amounts on into the area. 8 to 10 again. You can see it from the northern portion of the south side through the peninsula. 5 to 7. That's still a lot of snow, 4 or 5 inches of snow. And even now toward the Richmond area, we're calling for about 2-4 inches of snowfall there. As we are again a little bit farther northward on up to the eastern shore, some heavy snowfall through Thursday at around 11 o'clock in the morning. As I mentioned, high confidence that we're going to get shut down with snow. It's going to be a whiteout for parts of tonight and tomorrow morning near the coastline and bay especially. Lower confidence on the exact amounts. And the problem with it too is because with the amounts being so high, it's climatologically. In other words, you don't see that many. Snowfalls that are in the neighborhood of 10 inches. So it becomes a little bit tricky to predict. But it looks like it'll be a historic snowstorm for our area. Snow from now through 11 o'clock in the morning coming up on Thursday. Here, this is the next 7 days, and I'm standing in front of the good stuff here. The bad stuff is overnight and into the day tomorrow. We'll see a high of only around 29, 30. Windy, the snow should come to an end by around 11 o'clock noon. Friday looks quiet. Saturday looks quiet and cold. Look at the nighttime lows into the low teens. Sunday looks quiet, 28. Now we get out of the way and show you the good stuff as we see temperatures warm on up and finally melt the snow that's very, very likely to be covering the streets for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think by Monday we'll see some slush, and then by Tuesday I think most of that snow should melt on away.